Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankara-Acharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. Om Sahana-Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jnananandamayam devam nirmalaspatikakritim adharam sarvavidyanam hayagrivam Om Shri Hayagrivaya Namaha. Om Shri Vallabha Sameta Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha. So we were looking at we were in the topic of Atmanah here. jnapti-rUpatve shrutyAdi-upapattih. So Atma is only Jnana Swarupa. This is the argument going on here. Now in this we already saw a lot of arguments. In fact, the last discussion was about the Swaprakashatvam. There was an argument that Deepa, etc. are also Swaprakasha. Like that, Atma also is Swaprakasha. And Deepa lights itself up, and it is also lighting up other things. Like that, Atma is also Swaprakashaha, means whatever jnanam makes the Atma know itself, like that they talk about it. Okay. And therefore this Swaprakashatvam also is a dharma for them. Swaprakasha, whatever we call as Prakasha or Swaprakasha, is not, they don't accept it as the Atma Swarupa. So this whole section is about the Atma Swarupa being Jnapti Swarupa or Jnana Swarupa or Prakasha Swarupa. All these things mean the same thing for us. Now in this context, what we argued is, even Deepa is not really Swaprakasha. It is only with reference to objects like Ghata, Deepa is considered as Swaprakasha. Otherwise, Deepa itself requires the Chakshush for it to be cognized. And Chakshush itself requires finally the consciousness that alone is the one which is shining. Everything else shines after, we say, correct? So, Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam and all we say. So, everything is only Anubhati, Atma alone Bhati. Okay. Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati and all when we say, then they in fact they hold on to this argument that since Tasya Bhasa is there is a Shashti there. Therefore, it is Atmanaha Bhasa if you take. Then it's like it is like a Dharma Dharmi Bhava has come again. Okay. And then for that also we argued that there the Sashti is like Raho Shiravate. It's like saying the head of Rahu. Really head. There is no other Avayava in Rahu, correct? Rahu is head only, really speaking. Even though in language we have usage like Raho Shiraha, the head of Rahu. Rahu itself is only head. Like that here also you have to take this Sashti does not mean that there is a Dharma Dharmi Bhava. Atma itself is Bhasa. It's the Bhasa Swarupa. So once we say like this, they say that even Atma is lighted up by Shastra. Otherwise, why do you have to study Shastra to know Atma? This is the last argument we saw actually. Okay, to see the Atma also, you require the Shastra Pramana. So there is an Apeksha is there on Shastra. Because we said that whatever is does not depend on anything else for it to shine is alone Swaprakasha. And Atma alone is like that. Once we say this, they are saying, no, no, even Atma depends on the Shastra for it to be known. So how can you say there is no Anya Apeksha? Even Atma has the Apeksha on the Shastra. Even for this, what do we say? Shastra does not establish the existence of Atma, correct? In fact, Atma should already be there even to take part in the Shastra Vyavahara, correct? Guru, Shastra, etc. Whatever the Pramana Vyavahara happens through that, for that Atma should already be there. Any Karana Vyapara which is happening presupposes the existence of Atma. Therefore, there is no Anya Apeksha for the Atma to be known. Shastra is only removing the misconceptions about Atma. That's what we say. In that manner alone, it is a pramana. And therefore, this karana apeksha is only there for objects of knowledge. Atma is never an object of knowledge. Okay. Atma is the very swarupa of the jnata. Correct. It is jnana swarupa, and that jnana swarupam alone is swaprakasham also, and it is also Atma. All these words are used with reference to the same entity. So up to this we came. Tata nyayam drashtum karana apekshasti natu jnanam iti jnanam swaprakashameva tadeva atma cha iti. So jnana is swaprakasha and it has no karana apeksha to be known, etc. And that itself is the self also. Even after we say this, what their contention is that Atma is only a jnata. So he's again saying, Nacha jnata eva Atma na jnanamiti vachyam. So they are saying jnata eva Atma. Atma is only the knower. Atma is not knowledge or jnanam or of the nature of knowledge. So like this, they repeat the same thing. Jnata eva Atma na jnanam. Means you can't say that. Why? Jnatuhu swarupam eva jnanamiti asakrit uktatvat. Asakrit uktatvat. We have been telling again and again repeatedly that this Atma is nothing but the Swarupa. This Jnana Swarupa is the Jnatu Swarupa also. Correct? Jnanam is the Swarupa of the Jnatuhu also. Jnanam alone appears as the Jnata Upadhi Vashat, we say. Therefore, there is no problem. In fact, Jnata is Atma, but Atma is not Jnata. That is the another thing we have to understand. So therefore, Tasmad Atma Swarupa Bhuta Samvid Eka Eva Swayam Prakasha iti. So, finally, what do we say? Whatever is the Swarupa of the Atma, the nature of the Atma, which is consciousness or samvit, that alone, only that is Swayam Prakasha, because everything else depends or becomes evident to this consciousness or samvit. Therefore, that alone doesn't become an object of cognition of any other samvit or anything, and it shines by itself. But this Swayam Prakashatvam should not be taken as Atma is knowing itself as another object and all that, correct? Kartri Karma Virodha will come. It's not that Atma is knowing itself. When we say Swayam Prakasha, the important point is Atma shines by itself. It doesn't require anything else, the shine of anything else or the light of anything else. But it also doesn't mean that it is knowing itself as an object or anything. That is where some confusion can come. Swayam Prakasha does not imply that. This Bhashyakara makes it clear even in the Swayam Jyotir Brahmanam in the Brihadaranyaka, there also. Even here also it will be explained, I think. So here, once we say this, what again they are coming back. He is saying, Nanu, Ananya Adhina Prakashatvam Katham Samvidaha. So now he is questioning, how can you say this Samvit or consciousness does not depend on anything else for it to be lighted up? So Ananya Adhina Prakashatvam Katham, how it is there for this consciousness or Samvit? Samvideva hi Prakashaha iti ched uchyate. So if you say Samvid itself is Prakasha, how can you say that it doesn't have the dependence on anything else. So what do we say really? Iti chet uchyate. If you ask like that, this is what we say. Samvidaha swarupa bhutaha prakashaha ananya adhinaha iti kritva samvidaha ananya adhina prakashatvam iti. So why they are asking this is again ananya adhina prakashatvam. If you say, he is saying that that is a dharma. Samvid will become the dharmi. Ananya adhina prakashatvam itself is a dharma. Like that he is asking. So if you define ananya adhina prakashatvam as swaprakashatvam, then even that swaprakashatvam, if you say, that itself becomes a visheshana. Visheshana vishesha bhava is coming, or dharma dharmi bhava is coming. So in this context he is asking, and then you also say samvid itself is prakasha. So for this we are saying again all these things, it is really samvid is the swarupa of Atma, and that itself is prakasha, and that is not dependent on anything else. This is what we really mean by saying ananya adhina prakashatvam. So that's what he is explaining. Samvidaha swarupa bhutaha prakasha. So whatever prakasha or light, which is the very nature of samvid, here the light is not physical light. It is alaukika prakasha we are talking about. It is the light of consciousness. Correct? So the light of consciousness, which is its very nature, it does not depend on anything else. So in this manner, we say that samvidaha ananya adhina prakashatvam, but that doesn't mean that it is a dharma or anything. It is its very swarupa. That's what we are explaining. So nacha atmana swarupa bhuta bhutayaha samvidaha katam swarupa bhutaha prakashaha syaditi vachyam. Okay, again he is asking what? You are saying Atma Swarupa is Samvit. And then you are saying Samvit Swarupa is Prakasha. How can it be there like this? That the Atma Swarupa is Samvit, Samvit Swarupa is Prakasha, and therefore, and that's why Samvit itself is Swaprakasha. If you say all these things, it doesn't make any sense. Like this, they are saying, okay, Atmana Swarupa Bhutayaha Samvidaha Katam Swarupa Bhutaha Prakashaha Syat. How can the Prakasha be the Swarupa of consciousness, which itself is the Swarupa of Atma, you are saying? Things like that you can't ask. Na Vachyam, why? Because Ka Atra Anupapattihi, we are asking. What is not proper in that? In fact, what we really mean is what? Atma Samvit Prakasha Shabdanam Anatirikta Arthatva. In fact, all these different words we use, no doubt, but all of them point to the same thing, correct? Whether you use the word Atma or Samvit or Prakasha, it is all pointing to only the same entity. It is all indicating the same entity. They don't mean different things, really speaking. So, anatirikta arthat, okay, arthatva. So, they are not pointing to different meanings or different entities. They are all lakshana for the same lakshya. And Swarupam hi swam is saying, so whatever Swarupa we are talking about, that itself is oneself, correct? One is one's Swarupa only. One is one's nature. And these are all, although different words, they point to the nature of this Atma alone. So Tasmad Ananya Dhina Prakashaha Atmaiva Samvit. So what do we say? Therefore, what? That which doesn't depend on anything for its light, that self alone is consciousness also. All these things point to the same thing. Okay, once we say this, what? Again, they go back to the Deepa, because we were already arguing based on the Deepa, correct? So, Deepa Deenam to Ananya Adhina Prakashatvam Apekshikam Yatha Kala Deenam Nityatvam. Okay, this is again, we are only explaining. We are saying, even though Deepa is called as Ananya, whatever, Adhina Prakashatvam is there in the Deepa, in the sense that a Deepa doesn't depend on another Deepa for it to be known. The pot depends on the Deepa Prakasha. Like that, Deepa doesn't depend on another Deepa's Prakasha, etc. In that way, we say that it is Swaprakasha, but it is Apekshika only still, or it is only with reference to the pot, or in comparison to pot, Deepa is Swaprakasha, but it is not like Atma. Similarly, even Nityatvam is talked, right? We say that Kala and Akasha are all Nitya with reference to the Bhautika. In fact, the Bhutas, the Mahabhutas are all Nitya, or even the Devas are called Amritaha and all that, correct? Amarana Dharmaha. Devas are all called immortal. That is also Apekshika. Okay. It is not absolute. It is all relative with reference to the human beings and all that. Devas are all immortal, and also in the context that Devas do not age and die like human beings. Okay. They just vanish from the Swarga once the Punya is over. Okay. That is how we understand. So the Devas are different that way. So here, even Swarga is called Nitya in some places in the Veda. All those things are all understood as Apekshika. Or in some cases, we call Pravaha Nityatvam also we have. The Nityatvam in a flow, like the river is there, let us say. Even though the river as an entity we say is always there, the water is all the time changing, correct? It is changing, river is changing. It's not the same thing. Even though we say river is there, it is a perennial river. Okay, like our Tamrabarni is there here. Every day you can go and take Snanam in Tamrabarni. River is there always. But that doesn't mean it is the same river. So like this, there are the way in which we use the words, we have to understand that clearly. So here, so that's what he's explaining. Gatadi apekshaya hi deepaha swayam prakashaha yatha bhautika apekshaya bhutani nityani tadvatiti. So only with reference to gata or pot, etc., the lamp is supposedly swayam prakashaha. It is self-luminous. Like even with reference to the elementals, the 5 elements which we talk about, correct? Akashadi, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi. All these things are considered to be Nitya. Like that, here also we have to understand. So now we have explained this. So again, we are taking up another whatever thing which Ramanuja has said, and he is doing Khandana of that. Yaduktam Ramanujena Deepadihi Swaprabha Bala Nirbhasitaha iti Tadapi Mandam Prabha Atirikta Deepasya Eva Bhava. So, of course, the Vishishtadvaitins consider the Prabha or the light as separate from the lamp itself. Okay, lamp and light are two different things for them. And they are saying the lamp itself is lighted up by its own light. So they are saying it is lighting it up like that. So even the Swayam Prakashatvam, they understand like that. That's why they say the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam lights up the Atma also. Okay. And the Dharmi, the Atma is the Dharmi there. So like this, they have a concept. So here also they are saying the Deepa itself is lighted up by its own light. So that also is not very bright. Tadapi Mandam is not very intelligent. Why? Prabha Tirikta Deepasya Eva Bhavat, we say, when we talk about a lamp, this lamp is not separate from its light. Lamp itself is only light really. Okay. Okay, once we say this, what now there is a big argument based on lamp. In fact, in one way, we also have to accept finally that lamp and light can be separate because it's all savayava, correct? Lamp is having an avayava. Here also we have to take lamp means only when it is burning, it is lamp we considered, like that also we can take. Otherwise, you can say lamp can be there. Even bulb can be there without any light. At that state, we are not considering really considering it as a lamp. We have to say a glowing light or glowing lamp is nothing but light. Okay, that is his contention. So he is saying Prabha atirikta deepasya eva abhavat. Like this only we argue first. He argues. Later on, he will also accept no, but okay, if even if we accept that Prabha and the lamp are different, because lamp is a savayava. It is having parts, correct? But Atma cannot be said like that. That he will talk about later, but initially now he is arguing like this. He is saying there is no lamp other than light. Okay, once you say this word, nacha grihantaha sarva bhaga vyapi prabhavan chaturangula parimitaha deepaha iti vachyam. So now they are saying they have a definition for deepa, lakshana. What is that lakshana? He is saying the deepa prabha is there, correct? That is pervading all over in the room, it seems. You have a lamp in the room, in a dark room. Its light is pervading everywhere, correct? So the prabha is sarva bhaga vyapi, grihanta sarva bhaga vyapi prabha. So the light which is pervading all parts of the house. And the one who has that light, prabhavan, is the deepa. Okay. So that means what? Prabha is different, deepa is different, because deepa is there. That also they are defining. Chaturanga angula parimitaha. It is only there for 4 inches or whatever. Because the flame is there, correct? So the flame only is pervading only 4 inches. But from the flame, whatever light comes, it pervades the entire room. So therefore, the definition of a deepa is that which pervades 4 inches and with whose light pervades the entire room. Therefore, the light is different from the deepa. Like this, they are arguing. So if you give a lakshana like this, also we don't accept. You cannot say that. Why? Na vachyam. Tasyapi deepasya prabha eva rupamiti. What we are saying is, even the 4 inches, whatever you define, can you say that it is different from light? It is light swarupa only, correct? Whether it is 4 inches, pervading only 4 inches, or whether it pervades the entire room, everything is only light. It is not other than light, correct? So he is saying even that 4 inches, whatever you say, is that also is prabha eva rupam. Its swarupa is only light. There is nothing else there. So that's what he is saying further. Deepa jwala api hi prabha. So the deepa jwala which you talk about, which is of 4 inches measure, that is also nothing but light alone. Okay. So once we say this, what he is now saying, nacha deepa jwala eva prabha deepastu jwala anyaha ananyaha iti vachyam. Okay. Jwala. Okay, jwalavan anyaha iti vachyam. So what they are saying is the prabha is deepa jwala. That is fine. Okay. Whatever the flame which is there in the lamp, that is light alone. We accept that. Deepa jwala eva prabha. But the deepa is jwalavan, he is saying, and it is something other than the flame. So deepa is separate from the flame. It is anyaha. Okay, it is something other than that which has the flame. Like this, they are saying, even that we don't accept. Iti na vachyam. You cannot say that. Why? Jwala atirikta deepa abhava. So we don't accept a deepa which does not have a jwala, correct? There is no deepa other than jwala. Everything else you can talk about. The other avayavas are obviously there, correct? Some kind of a container which holds the oil or whatever it is, and the whatever we say, correct? The wick and etc. So whatever burns there. But whatever that flame alone is really lamp for us. Okay. Jwala atirikta deepa bhava. Okay. Once we say this word no, no, he is saying no. Nacha varti agravatim deepaha tad upari chaturangala parimita tu jwala iti vachyam. So no, he is saying no, no, what you are saying is not correct. The varti, correct? Varti is the one which burns there. The word varti is there in Tamil also. Varti only became batti, I think, correct? Udbatti and all we say. Or even in for the lamp also we use the word varti in Tamil also. It may be there in other Indian languages. So varti agravatim deepaha. So whatever flame which is there at the end of the varti, which is burning really, that is the deepa, and whatever is actually the flame actually extends to 4 more inches on top, he is saying. Deepa is only up to the varti, the end of the varti. Whatever flame is there for 4 more inches or whatever they have, chaturangula parimita, he is saying. Of course, it depends on how big the varti itself is, correct? If you have a bigger varti, it may be more than 4 inches. Smaller varti can be even less than 4 inches, but they are talking about some chaturangula here in general. So the flame is still different from the deepa. Deepa ends wherever the varti ends, the wick ends. And the flame is there from the wick, correct? Above. So that alone is jwala. Therefore, jwalavan deepaha, we will say, he is saying. That also we don't agree. So navachyam, you can't say this. Why? Arti agravartinopi deepasya raktavarnasya prabhavyatirekena asatvat. What we say is even the vagri artha, varti agra, the end of the varti is really the red, it is actually burning there, correct? It burns. That is really again prabha alone. It is not anything other than the light. Whatever is burning the varti agra. So varti agra vartinaha. Okay, the one which has the varti and the varti agra which is burning, correct? That deepa. The rakta varna is there. It burns red hot, we say, correct? That is the red hot portion of the varti, the wick. That is also nothing other than light only, correct? It is all prabha only. Vyada prabha vitirekena asatva. That also is only prabha for us. It is not something other than light. And prabhahi kantihi. So what we call kanti, correct? The shine or light is nothing but prabha. And that is not other than tejas, what we call as tejas, correct? Na tejo vitiriktam kimapi deepasya swarupam drishyate. That's what we say. So other than the tejas or light, there is no other swarupa for the deepa. The deepa swarupa is tejas. That is its real swarupa. Agnirhi deepaha, agnista tejaha eva. And further what? Basically the deepa is nothing but the fire. And fire only is called tejas also. Fire is not called tejo van. That is what he is trying to point out here. Okay. Teja eva hi bhuta shabda vachyam. And also when we count the mahabhutas, it is called tejas only. Correct. Natu tejo vad dravyam bhuta shabdarthaha. So what we say is tejas or agni itself is dravya, which is the mahabhuta, correct? Which is the bhuta. We don't say that tejo van dravyam is the bhuta. That is why, in fact, when we even enumerate the mahabhutas, what do we say? Prithivya tejo vayu akashanam bhutatva. So when you enumerate like that, all the bhutas, we simply say tejaha. We don't say tejo van dravya, correct? So tejas itself is the dravya there, and that tejas alone is the swarupa of the deepa also. So you cannot have a deepa without the tejas being there. Whichever part you point out, that is all again tejas swarupa only, correct? It is all of the nature of light or brightness. So we are pointing this out. And further what? Yadi tejovan agnihi syat tarhi agnehe tejovad tejovat ulmuka daru api agnihi eva syat. Okay. So if you say tejovan is agni, then what will happen? See, we have all this ulka or ulmuka daru, he is saying. We have a wood on which we tie something and burn it, correct? The fire, the whatever we call it, Teepandam in Tamil. Okay. So that when you are having that, then what will happen? The wood which you are holding with the fire at the end, that is also no Tejovan. Then that will also become Agni, correct? If you say Agni is Tejovan, even the Ulmuka Daru also now you have to say is Agni, because it is also Tejovan. But that's not how we say, correct? Agni is there, and that Agni alone is Tejas Swarupa. That's how we look at it. Okay, further what? Yadi tatha daru api agnihi syat tarhi agnehe tejovati vartihi api deepasya. So what we are saying is, if daru also is really Agni, if you say, then we say what? This whatever tejovati, this varti also is Agni, and that is the Deepa, really speaking, correct? Deepa, the tejovati varti, whatever the wick which is really burning and shining, that is Agni, and that is Deepa. That itself is Deepa. So therefore, the Deepa cannot be separated out from its Swarupa, which is light. That is the whole idea here. Therefore, what? Tasmat prabhaya nirbhasitaha gatadihi iva deepaha iti kaschin nasti padarthaha. Further, what he is saying is, see, the ghata is a separate padartha which is lighted up by the deepa, correct? Like that, there is no separate padartha called deepa which is lighted up by some other light, correct? Deepa, see, they are trying to separate deepa from the light and saying the light of the deepa lights itself. That is Prakashatvam. So we don't accept that. We say that the deepa swarupa itself is prabha. It's not like there is a separate prabha which is lighting up the deepa, and that's why it is whatever it is, Swaprakasha and all that. So there is no separate padartha called deepa which is being lighted up by a separate prabha or light, like even the ghata is being lighted up by some other light. Okay, if you say asti chet prabhataha pritageva, so upalabhyeta ghatavat. So if you say it is there, then it must be available, like pot is separately available, correct? There is a pot which is unlighted part, a pot also is there, lighted part also is there. Like that, there is no, once we say deepaha, understand this, the word deepa is coming from the root dyu or the or the only, I think, which again means brightness. So from when you say it is a deepa, it cannot be without light is our idea. Okay. Therefore, once you say it is a deepa, there is no separate deepa which is unlighted deepa. Deepa means it is always with light only for us. So you cannot separately have a light, have a deepa which is different from the light, correct? And the light is lighting up this deepa, like that you cannot say. So kincha yadi deepaha swaprabhaya bhasyate tarhi bhasanat prag, correct? Uh, sa deepaha kidrishaha vada. So now we are asking further, if you say The deepa is lighted up by its own light. Okay, it is lighted up by its own light. Swaprabhaya bhasyate deepaha. Then before it is shining, correct, by its own light. What was it? Tell me, we are asking. What is its swarupa then? Kidrisha deepaha vada. Okay, purvam abhasitam hi vastu paschat bhasitam iti uchyate. Tacha abhasitaha deepaha kaha yasya bhasitatvam bhavet. So if you say before it was not lighted up, that vastu, then later on it got lighted up, means what is that vastu which was not lighted up before, which you say is deepa, which later on becomes lighted up, correct? Yasya bhasitatvam bhavet. Like that you cannot say anything, because deepa means it has to be lighted up. It is light. Therefore, what do we say? Tasmat deepaha kevalam bhasate eva natu swena bhasyate kartri karma bhava virodhat. So finally, again, what do we say? Deepa shines. It doesn't mean that the light of the deepa, its own light is again lighting it up. Like that you cannot say. In fact, by doing that, there will also be the subject itself will become the object, correct? That is not possible. Kartri karma bhava virodha will come. There will be a contradiction that the karta and karma will become one and the same. If you say that the lamp is lighted up by its own light, that doesn't make any sense. It cannot be like that. Lamp itself is light. That's all we say. Okay. Then what further? Anyastu ghatadin bhasayati. But okay. So it is just light, and it lights up other things like pot. Okay. It can light up other things. It cannot light itself up, because that will become kartri karma virodha. So evam samidrupaha atma api iti. So same thing. When we say atma is swayam jyotihi, understand that it simply shines. Swayam jyotihi means it doesn't mean that it is shining light upon itself and all that. That will become kartri karma virodha again. Atma simply shines, and everything else also shines in its light. Okay. So evam samidrupaha atma api iti. Therefore what etena ekameva tejo dravyam प्रभावद रूपेण अवतिष्ठत इति रामानुजमतं parastam. Okay, so this Ramanujamata is negated. What is negated by all this argument? We are saying, they are saying there is a tejo dravyaha, there is a tejo dravyam. Okay, ekameva tejo dravyam, but it is both having prabha and prabhavat. They are saying prabha is the dharma for the tejo dravya. So it is there by having prabha and prabhavat, like that. In that manner it is there. Whatever they are saying, that has been negated, that has been rejected. Why? Because what we say is prabha atiriktasya prabhavataha dravyasya abhava. There is no separate dravya which is prabhavat. Prabha itself is the dravya which is the tejas, which is Agni. Okay, so that is our argument. Okay, once we say this, what now they are coming back with another argument. He is saying, Nanu प्रभावान अस्ति मण्यादि पदार्थः इति मा एवं मण्यादिर्हि न तेजोद्रव्यम् उष्णस्पर्शवत्वं हि तेजोद्रव्यस्य लक्षणम्. Okay, so now what they are saying, they are bringing money, correct? Jewels, money. So there are different kinds of jewels, manyadi padartha. There are other padarthas also which shine, correct? So they all have shine, light, prabha is there. Okay. So they are all prabhavan really. They have brightness or light. They are not light alone. If you take that as an example again, it is also not similar to what we are talking, because this money, etc., they are not tejo dravya, like what we are talking about, like the deepa or the agni. They are having whatever is a tejo dravyam should also have ushna sparshatvam, is what he is saying. Ushna sparshatvam hi tejo dravyasya lakshanam. What is the characteristic of the tejo dravya? Is that it has to be also hot. This light and heat goes together. That is fire. That is agni. That is tejas. Here, even though tejas is there, but ushna sparshatvam is not there. Therefore, it is not really a tejo dravya, but the teja amsha is there. Okay. So, deepastu tejo dravyameva ushna sparshavatvat, and deepa is teja dravyam. It is tejo dravyam because it is also having heat. It is agni alone. But the mani, etc., he is saying manya dehe ushna sparsha abhavat na tejo dravyatvam. They are all not tejo dravya. These jewels and whatever stones, precious stones, etc., because they do not have heat if you touch them. And whatever shine they have, correct, the brightness. Yatu manya dehe kantihi sa manigata tejo amshaha eva, but they have a teja amsha. Okay, there is a part of them which is having this tejas, and because of that only they are shining. Manirhi gatavat na mrinmayaha, and also it is not like gata, which is just mud and which doesn't have any shine. It is a mixture of both, we say. Okay, this mani is a mixture of Agni and Prithvi. There is a Prithvi Amsha in the mani, there is a Tejo Amsha. Both together are there. That's why it has brightness, but it does not have Ushna. So, Deepavat na Tejo Mayaha, Ghatavat na Mrinmayaha. Kintu tad Ubhayamayaha. Like that. So, it is having both these characteristics. And even Chandra is like that, he is saying. Evam Chandropi Jala Tejo Jala Tejo Dvayamayaha. So Chandra is basically reflecting the light, correct? But by itself it is only Jalamayaha, but it borrows the Tejo Mayatvam for this comes from the light of the sun. So it is also Dvayamayaha, he is saying, but sun is both heat and light, correct? That's what he is saying. Dyu manistu Tejo Maya eva. Sun is only purely Agni, Tejo Maya. Dyu Mani he is calling. Dyu Mani means Dyu means Akasha, correct? The jewel in the Akasha, which is sun, is purely Tejo Mayaha eva. Tata eva Agnihi api. Even the fire also is like that. Therefore, what Tasmat Manav Tejaha Sadbhavat Manis Tejovat Dravyameva. So since in the Mani, this Tejas is there, Mani can be called as Tejovat Dravyam, but the same thing cannot be said for Deepa. So Deepastu Teja eva iti na Tejovat Dravyam kintu Tejo Dravyameva, but Deepa is not the one which has Tejas, it is Tejas itself, correct? It is Tejo Dravyameva. Like this, we differentiate between Mani and Deepa. Okay, further what? Nanu Prabha Prabhavator Bedaha Pratyakshena eva upalabhyate Deepa Suryadi Darshanepi Adarshanepi Tat Prabhayaha Darshanaditi Chet Ma evam. Okay, again what they are arguing is, see, this Prabha or brightness can be seen separately even when the source of that light is not seen, correct? So you may not see the lamp, but the light of the lamp you can see. The lamp itself may be hidden somewhere. Or sunlight you can see, even in this room we have sunlight, even though I don't see the sun, correct? That means the sunlight is a separate thing, sun is separate. Like that they are arguing, okay? So, Prabhavator Vedaha Pratyakshenaiva Upalabhyate is saying. It is seen by everybody that the light is different from the one which has light. Why? Because Deepa, Surya, the Adarshanepi, even though you may not see the Deepa and the Surya, its light can be seen. Like even right now you are seeing in this room. Means what? Cannot say that. Iti chet ma evam. It's not what we are meaning. What we are saying is Deepa Pritak Prabha Darshanepi Prabhayaha Pritak Deepaha na upalabhyate iti. So what we are saying is we are saying the other way around. Prabha can be seen without the source of the light, but the source of the light can never be seen without light, correct? That is our point. That's why it is Prabha Swarupa. Okay. And even here we are making a difference also. I am Ashayaha. What is that? This is the explanation. What we give is we talk about a Samhata Avayavaha and Virala Avayava, like that. Samhata Avayava means that which is there inherently in something. And sometimes a part can also be spread out, pervading. That is called Virala Avayava. So he is now talking about that. Samhata Avayavaha Chaturangula Parimanaha Jwalamayaha Prabha Prabhamayascha Deepaha iti tasyaiva Sarvagriha Vyapi Virala Avayavaha Prakashaha Prabha iti. So what we are saying is the Samhata Avayava means that which is there inherently wherever it is. That is the Chaturangula Parimana, whatever measures 4 angula, which is having the flame. But that is Prabhamaya. That is also nothing but light. Okay, that is the Deepa. If you take that Deepa alone is also now pervading the entire Griha or the house, Sarva Griha Vyapi. But that Virala Avayavaha, whatever is pervading is the Prabha, you say, correct? But that is the Virala Avayava of the same Deepa. So Virala Avayavaha Prakashaha Prabha iti cha uchyate. So we explain it in terms of the Samhata Avayava and Virala Avayavaha. Therefore, what do we say? Tasmad ekam eva tejo dravyam swa avayavaihi no swa avayava vairalya samhananabhyam. Okay. Prabhavat shabda dvaya pratipadyam bhavati iti. So what we say is the same tejovat dravyam, which is Deepa alone, is called as Prabha and Prabhavat based on whether with reference to the its own avayavas, its own parts. One is the Samhata Avayava or Samhana Avayava. Another is Virala, Vairalya, he is calling here. So, Virala and Samhata Avayava, based on that, the same Tejo Dravyam only is called Prabha or Prabhavat. Like that, we can understand. Or here now he is conceding finally. Bhavatuva Tejo Dravyasya Savayavatvena Prabha Prabhavadrupena Dvedha Avastitihi. So we can even accept the Deepa has Prabha like that. Okay. Deepa is the one which has Prabha, means it is a Prabhavat. Why? Because Deepa has Avayavas. Correct. A lamp has different parts. So if you remove the light also, some other parts of the lamps are there. So we may consider it that manner. If you consider, then light is one part of the lamp. Because we do have lamp which does not burn. If we strictly give a definition that whatever burns alone is lamp, then all the arguments which we have given is fine. But let us say, okay, lamp is there, it has different parts. All the parts of the lamp do not burn also, correct? Only the tip of the wick is burning. So if you take like that, lamp itself becomes Savayava. Therefore, then you can say Prabha and Prabhavat, like that. Lamp is the Prabhavat. Then what we say is na tad drishtantena ekasya eva atmadravyasya jnana dvedha avastitihi iti vaktum shakyate niravayavatvād atmanah. So this is what we are saying. If we take the lamp as savayava and say that lamp is prabhavat, taking this as a drishtanta, now you cannot say atma is chaitanyavat. correct, or Prabhavat, then the Drishtanta will not apply because you are taking a Savayava and applying it to a Niravayava Atma. Atma is Niravayava. It is very well revealed by the Shruti as Niravayava, and it alone is there, Ekameva Advitiyam Atma. In that, how can you have Prabha, Prabhavatvam and all that? Atma itself is Prabha. With reference to Atma, when you see, since Atma is Niravayava, you cannot extend this Drishtanta and establish that Atma is also Jnanavat. Atma is Jnanam alone because it is Niravayava. So, nacha ekam jnanadravyam jnanavad Atma rupena vartate iti vachyam. Now they are saying, once we say this, no, the same Atma can be both Jnana and Jnanavat also. In fact, that's what they really say in one way, because they say Dharmi Bhuta Jnanam, Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. Both ways they talk about Jnana. Jnana itself is there is in the form of Dharmi, it is there in the form of Dharma. That also they say. So they talk about two types of Jnana. So he is saying Ekameva Jnana Dravyam, Jnana, Jnanavad Atma Rupena Rtate. It is there in both ways, he is saying. Means you cannot say that. Why? Atmanaha Savayavatve Sati Anityatvam Syat. If you say like this, then Atma will be having Avayavas. And if it becomes Savayava, then it will become Anitya. Okay. So Anityatvam Syaditi Niravayavaha Eva Atma Sampratipannaha. So we have to understand Atma properly. And what is the proper understanding here? That Atma is Niravayava. Because if Atma is considered as Savayava, it will become Anitya. So Tathacha Jnanamapi Niravayamam Eva Syat. Anyatha Tasya Atma Swarupatva Anupapattehe iti. So similarly, what Jnanam also is Niravayava only because it is Atma Swarupa. Otherwise, it cannot be the Atma Swarupa. Therefore, Tasmad Yatha Deepaha Prabha Rupaha Prabha Gunakascha Tata Atma Chidrupas Chaitanya Swabhavascha iti Vaktum na Shakyate. So therefore, what do we say? Like Deepa is Prabha and Prabhavat. Like that, you cannot now say Atma is Chidrupaha and Chaitanya Swabhavas. So both you cannot say. Atma is Chaitanya Swabhava also, and also it has Chaitanyam as Dharma, etc. You cannot say like that. Why? Because Deepasya Savayavatvena Atmanaha Niravayatvena cha Drishtanta Dashtantika Bhava Siddhehe iti. Because Deepa is Savayava, Atma is Niravayava. Therefore, there is no similarity between the Drishtanta and Dashtantika. Only based on some similarity, you can give an analogy, correct? And you can reveal something based on the analogy. Okay, little bit more is there in this topic that we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी।
Om.